Alright battlers, I have a fun one for us today. We are taking a look at Sudowoodo. Sudowoodo didn't get a whole lot of love early on, but he is awesome in this cup. He's good at beating the dragons and being overall very weird and very dangerous. So I call Sudowoodo the ninja of the Timeless Cup, and you're going to see why. Here we go against Quagsire, and I'm going to bail out immediately because that Quagsire does have access to a whole lot of moves that I don't want Sudowoodo to have to see. So I bring in my Lapras here, and he does get me with the Shield Bait and the Acid Spray, so not very good for us. I do fire off the Surf here, just trying to put some pressure on this Quagsire. It is part ground, so it doesn't like that Surf very much. Victreebel is going to delete us very, very quickly, but luckily I have Charizard in the back. So I do decide to bring in Charizard here, and my opponent goes for the Leaf Blade. Not very effective damage, so I'm able to take that, no problem. I've got a ton of energy too, so in comes that Shelgon. I'm really hoping that I can get to 2 Dragon Claws here, and we're actually able to pull it off. So double Dragon Claw flying from the Charizard. We bring that Shelgon pretty weak, but the Dragon Breaths are going to beat us. And here comes Sudowoodo. Sudowoodo is going to defend against this Twister here, and then use these counters to gain up some quick energy, but out comes Quagsire. Quagsire's got a move loaded, and it will actually be Acid Spray. So if it was Stone Edge or Earthquake, that would have been bad news bears. I'm actually going to farm down the Quagsire here. My opponent still does have a shield, but look at this. One Rock Slide goes flying, and then Sudowoodo is going to get to a second Rock Slide. Counter is such a great move for generating energy. It is really, I think, the best move overall in the game, and Sudowoodo's got it. So here we go with Sudowoodo versus Victreebel, and I have to bail out of there really quick. That was really scary stuff. So in comes Quagsire against my Snowy Castiform. So I actually caught this Castiform in Chicago at GoFest this year. Its name was Chi-Town until I had to name it Time so I could search for it for the Timeless Cup battles. So we're working down this Quagsire actually pretty quickly. I'm going to invest here in my Snowy Castiform with the shield. I'm trying to get to another Weather Ball. We're actually able to pull it off, so this is really good for us. I do fire this off against Quagsire, and it does get shielded. I'm expecting the Stone Edge here, and it actually is an Acid Spray again, so again, more baits. Snowy Castiform is pretty soft at this point. I'm awaiting my next Pokemon, and it will be Victreebel. Even though Castiform is a great grass type counter, those Acid Sprays have really worked us down to the point where we're not very effective. Luckily, I have double overlapping grass coverage in the form of Charizard. I know whatever this is, I can take it, and it is an Acid Spray again, so it's just Bait City out here. In comes that Shelgon. I'm going to go straight for the Blast Burn, trying to get this Shelgon off the battlefield. It's not very effective, and that Acid Spray did work as well, but in comes my Sudowoodo, and just like we saw in Game 1, I'm going to shield this Twister and then try to counter down this Shelgon. So we have that Rock Slide loaded. I'm going to fire this off against Victreebel, and Sudowoodo would not have done well against the Razor Leafs, but luckily we're able to get off our charge move and win that game. Going to the next game, I will lead Sudowoodo into Kingdra. This is one of the surprising matchups that you would not expect. Sudowoodo can actually win this matchup against Kingdra because it actually survives enough of these Dragon Breaths to get off double Rock Slides. We landed 1 Rock Slide there, and all I need to do to win is give it 1 shield, and we do that, and we're able to counter it down. So we did burn a shield, but Sudowoodo helped us to win the lead, so thus we win Switch Advantage, which is great. In comes that Sealeo, and Sudowoodo is actually very good against Sealeo as well. Sealeo and Lapras have a hard time with Sudowoodo. As you can tell, those Powder Snows aren't doing much damage at all. I'm going to shield Sudowoodo because this is a Sudowoodo feature, so why not? Here comes a Rock Slide from Sudowoodo, and it does get shielded as well. We land a few more counters, and the Sealeo's Powder Snows are so weak that it actually has to go for another charge move to get us off the battlefield. So very good for us. In comes Victreebel, and it takes out the Sealeo. In comes the Venomoth, and I'm going to switch here into Lapras. So I know Lapras, with its big head, is just going to Skull Bash and crush this Venomoth, so that's all I need to do to win this game. I do get there, and we're going to fire this off to win the match. Taking a look at our next game, I will lead Victreebel into that Sunny Castiform, so not a good situation for us. I do go into my safe swap Lapras, and out comes Venusaur. So even though Venusaur is a grass type that is very powerful, as I outlined in my Lapras video a few days ago, this is actually not that terrible of a matchup because those Ice Shards are going to do great damage against Venusaur, and especially if you don't shield, you are in big trouble against Big Blue here. So we are going to shield the second Frenzy Plant, and we do give up both of our shields to win that that matchup, but I'm comfortable because I know the Skull Bash is going to buff our Lapras. It does get shielded by this Castiform, and I know that anything short of a Solar Beam is not a big deal. Weather Ball does hurt pretty badly because Lapras is still part ice, but I do get to the Surf here to try to put some shield pressure on my opponent. So it is super effective, but Sunny Castiform survives. I have an interesting dilemma here, so I decide to go in with my Sudowoodo. I fire off the Rock Slide here, and rocks are going to crush the Scorpion Drapion pretty badly. I do decide to bring in my Victreebel here, knowing that this Drapion is switch locked, and I don't want my Victreebel to go up against the Sunny Castiform and get farmed down. So I'm going to bring it in and then bring in Sudowoodo one more time. Sudowoodo's counters are going to add up really quickly, trainers. Even the Weather Ball would not finish us off here. We're going to take that, not very effective at all. I'm actually going to take another Weather Ball, and I don't even need my charge move. Sudowoodo is going to counter down the Castiform. Taking a look at the next game, I will lead my Charizard into Dragonair. So Dragonair has to watch out for those Dragon Claws, but I have to watch out for the Aqua Tail in turn. This matchup is really pulling out the knives. You really have to be very careful of these two beasts as they go head to head. So I do decide to shield this Aqua Tail here. I'm kind of expecting a double move, but my opponent doesn't get there. So I'm very, very lucky there. I did burn a shield, but I won the lead. In comes Charizard. I go straight for the Blast Burn, hoping to not get a shield, and we don't. So this Charizard is very, very weakened. I do have Victreebel and Sudowoodo, and my best option is Sudowoodo here. So I have one more shield left. I'm going to shield, or excuse me, I'm going to not shield this Dragon Claw, instead hanging onto that shield for later. In comes Blossom, and I'm going to start flying with these Razor Leaves. I'm going to defend my Victreebel here because I want this Blossom out of the picture, and I hope that I can Acid Spray that Charizard and then finish it with counters. So in comes a charge move from Blossom for a second time, and we're out of shields. It is Leaf Blade. We're able to bring down that Blossom, but at the cost of our own Victreebel. So in comes Sudowoodo. I'm going to go for the Rock Slide here to burn the Spinal Shield, and then a few counters bring down the Charizard. Taking a look at this game, I will lead Sudowoodo into Kanto Muck. So not a great situation for us. Alolan Muck is dark and poison, so the counters do a little bit more, but Kanto Muck is pure poison, so we are not doing much damage. But still, those Rock Slides slap, trainers. We have to get out of the way of those Razor Leafs. I bring in my Dragonair here against the Blossom, and we're going to work it down pretty quickly. That Leaf Blade is going to be resisted. Dragons just have so many resistances. In this cup, there's no steel and no fairies to rein them in, so they are very, very dangerous. We're going to bring down Blossom with the Aqua Tail, and my opponent is going to let the switch timer tick down just so they have a little more flexibility. In comes Drapion, and I go straight for my charge move, trainers. I'm learning in this cup that you have to fire off that final charge move with Dragonair. Otherwise, you might run into an opposing Dragonair and get crushed by the Dragon Breath or the Ice Fang by Drapion. So I fire off one Rock Slide, and I'm almost able to get to another one. I'm going to invest in Sudowoodo here because I want to get this Drapion off the battlefield. I do go for one more Rock Slide against it, and we earn that second shield. So Sudowoodo's done an excellent job. I've got one shield and a Lapras, and this is very, very hard to beat, as you are well aware. Crunch, Surf, Crunch or Aqua Tail, I don't mind. It was a Crunch. In comes Kanto Muck with Charge Energy, so I need to shield that Thunder Punch, and then I fire off the Surf. So this will be enough to bring down the Kanto Muck, and we're going to win that game as well. Taking a look at the final battle of the video, trainers, I do lead Blastoise into Drapion. So Drapion's going to bail out immediately in favor of Victreebel, and I bring in Lapras. So again, Lapras's Ice Shards are doing really well here. I'm going to fire off the Surf, just trying to put as much pressure on Vic as I can. We're actually not able to get to another Surf. Victreebel took us down. I'm in a really, really bad situation here. I've got two Pokemon that are very weak to Razor Leaf, and I have to get this Victreebel off the battlefield as quickly as possible. I do fire off the Hydro Cannon to bring it down, and I'm breathing a sigh of relief. Trainers, we're about to see Sudowoodo really shine. It's got two shields, but it's got to go through two Pokemon and a shield of its own. So I do fire off the Rock Slide here. Going to do great damage if it lands, but it does get shielded. So Sudowoodo can only take one Aqua Tail from Drapion, so I'm going to shield. It was a Crunch that time, actually, so that would have hurt pretty bad as well. I do go for another Rock Slide here, and it does go unshielded. So in comes the last Pokemon, which is Venomoth, and trainers, this battle is so close. I do shield this attack from the Venomoth, which was Poison Fang, and we get to the Rock Slide, and we are going to bring down this Venomoth and win the match. Trainers, who is your ninja of the Timeless Cup? I feel like in the Regionals Cup last season, it was Gallade, especially after Valor Ash used it, but I think Sudowoodo is the ninja of the Timeless Cup. Let me know what you think. Let me know if you're using Sudowoodo and if you enjoy it, and keep the Sudowoodo hype going by hitting that subscribe button and leaving me a like.